I used to watch The Simpsons all the time growing up as a kid. Every time on Fox 17, it would play in the evenings on Sundays, and me and my family would always watch The Simpsons. It's one of the longest running shows too. It was one of the first shows really to be, an animated sitcom. You got Homer, Marge, Lisa, Bart, all other kinds of different characters, different shenanigans, and it's just an entertaining show in general. The Simpsons, without a doubt, being so big, has several video games that have been released over the years, some good and some bad. The Simpsons Hit and Run, I'd say, is one of the most favorite, and as well as the movie game too. Those both are pretty good games too. I've played them a little bit, and definitely fun, and check them out if you have not. Today, though, of course, the PlayStation 1 is the main subject. There was a Simpsons game released in 2001 for the system, The Simpsons Wrestling. I heard about this game a few years ago or so, and have now finally decided to check it out for myself, and I did play this game, and played and tinkered with the characters and such, and I got some stuff I want to talk about. So is this game at all worth your time to check out and play? I'm here today to review The Simpsons Wrestling for the PS1.
In wrestling, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how drunk you get afterwards.
Ow!
Ow!
The Simpsons Wrestling was developed by Big 8 Productions and was published by Activision, released in June of 2001 in North America. Big 8 Productions, I couldn't find a whole lot about them, but they did make a couple other titles people might know. They made Star Wars Episode 1 for the PS1, and they also made Celebrity Deathmatch for the PS2. There's not really much of a plot to this game. There's a tournament in Springfield, and everyone wants to compete to be the best. One cool thing though is all of the characters in this game are all voiced by the original cast from the show, so that's very interesting to know, and also very nice touch. The Simpsons Wrestling, well, is a wrestling game, but I will be honest, it kind of plays more like a one-on-one fighting, beat-em-up kind of game, the way it feels. The controls aren't too bad to get used to, but to know you can move with the D-pad. It does support DualShock if you want to use the control stick if you'd like. It doesn't make much of a difference, to be honest with you. You can jump with the X button, square is your normal attack, your triangle is your strong attack, your circle is your special attack, and L1 can hold or pin down your opponent. R1 is your taunt whenever you have the 5 letters of taunt that you can use. And yeah, that's about it. It's pretty simple to know how to play this game. Each character pretty much feels the same when you use them, but some characters like Willie here, he's got a rake, and he'll use that as a special weapon and leave traps. Barney, for example, he'll use a beer mug as his main attack, and he'll just burp to make his special attack, and you kind of get hit and stunned. When you start playing the game, you get a few game options. You have one player mode, which is Challenger Circuit, Practice Mode, and Versus Match. Very simple. If you're playing one player mode, you'll go to a screen and you'll see all your available characters, and you'll see some question marks, so you know you can unlock characters throughout the game. Like other wrestling games, you gotta win twice against your opponent, and when you beat them, you move on to the next opponent. As you're fighting against your opponent, items will pop up randomly across the ring. There's these little cloud things that pop up, and those actually spell out the letter taunt. You pick those up, you get one letter, and then when you get to 5, you can hold R1 and use your taunt. Other items you'll see too are healing items like cereal boxes and such. You get super speed shoes, and there's even question mark items, and it's just basically the same things I just mentioned, but they're random. In traditional wrestling fashion, you can use the ring ropes to bounce yourself around to slam into your opponent. It's kind of weird though, it doesn't really work that well, but you do have that option. The big thing here with the gameplay is the meters you have in the bottom corner by your character's head, and the green meter is your health. And your purple meter or pink meter is your energy meter. This is how you use your moves in combat, and you get 3 moves: square, triangle, circle. If they're not highlighted, it means your meter's too low and you gotta wait and walk around for it to increase. The blue meter is only going to pop up whenever you're stunned or if your opponent's stunned, and what this means is when that blue meter is there, you can pin your opponent down, and of course when you count to 3, then you win. The blue meter won't go down as quickly though, unless you get their health down. Now if you knock all their health out, then that blue meter is pretty much going to stay full, and you can pin your opponent down. It's pretty much a guaranteed win. There's 11 challenges total whenever you play the circuit mode, and there's a few of them that have unlockable characters that you come across. When you beat them, you unlock that character. The last fight in the game are the alien guys from the show, and when you beat them, you unlock the next circuit, which is pretty much just another harder difficulty at that point. But at that point, you did beat the game. There's definitely a few things we need to talk about, and it's about the gameplay, because the controls in this game are very clumsy. With how you play this game, you move around just fine, but whenever you try to attack and stuff, you're just kind of flailing your arms around and such. The hit detection is just awful with this game. Anytime you get close to somebody and try to make a move, it kind of hits sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. Whenever you hit those rings on the outside, like I said, and you try to like move around really quickly, you're like skating on like very weird ice, and you just move so weird whenever you do that. So it's really hard to get to your opponent in attacks sometimes. Another thing too that's really bad about this game is heavily unbalanced. There are some characters that are just absolute trash, like Barney. He is probably the worst character in this game. He sucks, he's got bad moves. Then you've got characters who are very good, like Krusty the Clown, he has a hammer, or Willy, he's got a freaking rake. But man, the worst of them all, when you come across Smithers and Mr. Burns, which is two characters, but they act as one, this is the most unfair, cheap, ungodly bullshit fight I've ever experienced in a video game. When you get to this fight, Smithers' AI is really good, and he just slaps you away. He can throw a goldfish and you keep tripping on it, but the worst part is Mr. Burns is in the outside of the ring throwing freaking nuclear bombs. So you have to dodge this damn goldfish, Smithers is always up your ass, and you gotta watch out for this nuclear bomb. This is the most cheap, unfair bullshit fight of all time. Not to mention, the items when they pop up when you're playing this game, it's all just random. And I swear, I promise, when I was fighting this fight, those items would pop up closest to Smithers, I swear to God. I got through it, and I thought I was the final boss, because Mr. Burns is like one of the bad guys, but no, there were actually 4 more fights away, and then the alien like I mentioned earlier. But that brings me to my next point though. The rest of the game is freaking easy. There's one thing and only one thing you gotta know to be good at this game. You jump in the air, and you just keep pressing the square button until you run out of the pink meter. You know a game is not great whenever you have to manipulate the system and do a cheap move in order to win. That's actually how I got through the rest of the fights, and yeah, it's kind of stupid. It makes you not even want to use the actual controls and do combos and such. The Simpsons wrestling plays terrible. The gameplay is not that fun. You feel like you're just hitting the square button or triangle button repeatedly, and nothing really seems to happen but just, sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. Whatever the game decides. The characters are very unbalanced, they're very clunky, they're not very fun to use, and it's just overall not a very good wrestling game at all. There are some pros to this though. I do think the graphics and the music is not bad at all. As a matter of fact, I was surprised at how decent the music was. And the graphics are fine for a 2001 game, but the gameplay is just so bad that those things don't even matter. So, The Simpsons Wrestling, definitely avoid this one. The only way to possibly even play this game or even want to play it is if you're a huge Simpsons fan and y'all are kind of drunk and you got some friends over and you want to just like bust this out for 15 minutes and just giggle and have fun. That's about the only satisfaction you could possibly get from this game. For the collectors out there who are trying to complete their PS1 collections or whatever they're trying to do, every Simpsons game, this game's about $30 complete in box. I don't know why you'd want to buy this, but if you're a completionist, then I understand. But just know you're getting a really shitty game here. The Simpsons games that have come out over the years are definitely hit or miss. There's some good ones like I mentioned earlier, or some bad ones like on the NES and Super Nintendo and such. The Simpsons Wrestling, unfortunately, is just one of those bad games in the franchise. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to give it a like. You got something to say? Leave a comment down below. And of course, if you want to see more content like this in the future, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.